Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Ankit here, and let's break down today's market price action. It's a Wednesday, December the 18th. A lot to go through, so let's just quickly get in. As always, we'll be taking a look at broader market analysis, take a look at what's happening in the markets, look at the news events, and then we'll take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
As we jump into the market analysis, let's just jump right into the headlines here. And today was one of the worst days in the markets. Again, biggest drop in equities since August of 2024. You can see back in August, we had a pretty ugly day. And then here we are getting a big drop after the FOMC rate statement. They did cut rates, but the statement was hawkish. Again, kind of find that surprising because, again, we already have that trade running into it. It was not a surprise. It was as expected. But we're just getting another burst of movement. The equity market's pulling back, but then we also have the dollar printing fresh highs. So dollar is the highest level since November of 2022. So pretty impressive moves here, especially in the currency market. Now, let's just take a look at the numbers here. As you can see that the dollar up 1.22. And remember, dollar has been one of the best trades since September, the end of September, where the dollar actually did reverse. And we are just continuing to plow higher on this massive daily gain and even a weekly gain. Now, outside of that, where the weakness? Aussie and Kiwi is getting the worst performance here. And again, right now, based on not just the dollar strength, but now we're getting a risk-off sentiment in the markets where the equity markets are down, all the other instruments are down. So again, that's really where, the Aussie and Kiwi likely to underperform. We also had the yen, which was still higher. We'll have the Bank of Japan meeting coming up in next 24 hours. We'll see what happens there. But then again, dollar is the one that's really driving the moves. You can see in the middle here, Swiss franc, euro, pound, CAD, really not the biggest here. Pound looks good over here again after some CPI numbers earlier today. Pound still holding you okay, and CAD is still holding you okay. So it seems like a very concentrated move here in the dollar. So it doesn't matter what dollar pair you're looking at, had a big move. But really the biggest mover in the movements right now, Aussie and Kiwi against the dollar here. Now, let's just take a look at the broader markets because that's really where the big pain was. Take a look at S&P, down 2.6, BT down 2.7, crypto's down, gold is down, oil is down. So pretty much everything is down. So this is, again, a very negative day in the markets. And especially we are 1 week away from the Christmas, when the holiday season starts. We are getting some really ugly price action here, which is a lot different than last 2 years where, we get this end of the year rally. Now, here we are in the Bitcoin. You can see that is the one holding it there, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin down the most. So maybe, again, I think this is where, as the risk sentiment is changing, we could possibly see, a little further pullback in cryptos, which have had a massive run. Now, looking at the market outlook, again, in a very short span of time, we have gone from a +2 now to a -2. So here's a chart of S&P. You can see that this is a massive sort of a drop here. We got below the 20, got below the 50. So market sentiment has turned pretty bearish very quickly. I know I was anticipating more of that bearishness in 2025 in January when we do a switchover, but we're getting a bit of a sell-off here. So you can see that we closed off at close to the lows of the day. So again, I think this is where what we need to look for. There's no buyers that came into the markets today. So does any buyers come in the next day or two? We'll see. But again, that's really what we want to take a look at after a big moving day like this. We could see a bit of a consolidation candle tomorrow. But again, can't deny the fact that market sentiment has changed quite aggressively in this short period of time. Now, let's just do our currency analysis and let's just take a look at velocity scores right now. And you can see that velocity score +3 on the dollar, and then we got the Aussie and the Kiwi on the downside. Now, rest is kind of right in the middle here. So let's just take a look at currency baskets and we'll take a look at possible setups.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So looking at our currency baskets, let's just take a look at it one by one because it's important to kind of see where we are. You can see that the yen right now, we have the Bank of Japan rate statement tonight, but unless we really make a change, I mean, you can see that the yen has sort of supported right here on the support here. We got the resistance right here. Now, is this a bull pullback? Or is this going to kind of go further down here? And I think this is where you can't deny the price action here. That again, we are getting a little bit higher on this 4-hour chart here. So again, I really don't have a strong call on this one. This is really data dependent or dependent on the central bank. I'll be more interested to see what happened after that. Now the dollar, I mean, this is what we call currency going a little parabolic. Now you can go back in time, as you can see that, this is an important level of resistance, and we have cleared out some really important level of resistance, and we are almost getting closer towards this high that we had in 2022. Remember, that's just where the central banks were sort of raising rates. Now, one thing to note is that, I mean, take a look at the movement today in the dollar. This is, again, the biggest move, going back to November, that election. That's really what we're getting here. So the question is that, are we going parabolic here? That is for sure. Really any sign of signal yet for turnaround? No. I mean, take a look at this candlestick today and how strong that candle is, that we close at the highs of the day. So again, this is where, we are getting far from the moving averages. It definitely looks extended. Now, the question is, should we continue going on the long side from here, or do we see a pause? And usually after some big energy, I mean, you can see that we were slowly rising going into this news event, and we're just getting a big blow off. So is that going to be blow off top? Again, the way we close today, can't really say that, but this is where you got to be careful for the next 24 to 48 hours, see if we get a further extension to the upside, or do we turn around from there. But again, super strong movement, super strong price action. You can see that over here, even though if I go on a weekly chart, this is last 3 weeks. This is not just a 1 week move. Last 3 weeks, we have been going higher in the dollar. So something to keep an eye. Every time I see something like this, always kind of look for any sort of correction, any sort of reversal signs. But great trade for on the dollar longs. But again, at this point, you got to reevaluate and see if it was worth going long on the dollar, or should we just take a little bit of a pause here. Now, outside of the dollar, that's really the big player here. Swiss franc. Remember, they had a rate cut last week, and this thing has managed to come right back up. So. I've talked about this many times. This is this is Swiss franc currency basket. And until it really breaks, below that support or resistance level, I don't really care to sort of, trade it directionally. We can have a couple of good days and a couple of down days, but again, pretty strong resistance, pretty strong support. Let's move on to the euro. You can see that euro has been doing well, but I mean, not so well price action right now. On a 4-hour chart, is sort of pulling back a little bit. So we'll table that a little better. Now, the pound is the one that had a massive move, and take a look at that. We got a breakout and just hanging above it. I still like pound to the upside, but remember, we got the Bank of England in the next 24 hours. They're not expected to cut rates, but it's all about the statement. But again, do like the price action here on the pound. So if I just go with that direction, this still looks better to the long side. But again, waiting for that Bank of England tomorrow. Now we have the Canadian dollar, which you can see is going kind of sideways. This is the time that dollar and CAD, which has been mostly correlated for the most part of the year. I mean, they're kind of gone on its own. Dollar has gone exponential, but CAD hasn't really caught up on this one. So again, we'll see what happens right now. We are right at the moving average, so zero outlook on the CAD. Now we got the Aussie. You can see Aussie is just plummeting lower. Here's the daily chart. So we are right at the support level on this Aussie currency basket. We are back at the levels that we were, just a year or 2 years ago. I mean, let's go back in time. So again, 2022, we were still. So this is again the lowest, getting close to the lowest level. Going back to 2023. So Aussie looks pretty bearish, and then take a look at the Kiwi. Kiwi has done a big break of that support. You can see that this is a support level. It's given up the support level. So again, at this point, we want to be more sellers on any sort of bear rallies here, especially now if the equity market stays weak. I think this is where growth currencies are likely to struggle a little bit here. So watch out for that price action. Now, I can spend all my time taking a look at all these dollar crosses. They're all going to look the same. They all are going parabolic. So the question is, where do we go from here? It's big moves already happened. News has already happened. So I think right now we're just going to go back to, sort of continue with that trend, maybe go sideways a little bit, consolidate. That's what we kind of expect here in the broader markets, or in the dollar here. So now next 24 hours, we got the yen, and then we got we have the pound. So I think with the yen, especially, take a look at 4-hour chart. If it does continue to strengthen further, I think this is worth taking a look at currency pairs like Aussie yen, which definitely has a lot more room for this to drop. We have Kiwi yen. I think if you take a look at the next 24 hours, the next level of risk, I think it's going to be around the news events. But now again, if the Japanese yen, if the Bank of Japan doesn't do anything and yen just falls, I think then the best pair would be the dollar yen, which just broke out above that 54 area. This can easily climb towards that 156 area. So again, that would be another setup that I'm looking at, again, depending on what the Bank of Japan does or doesn't do. I mean, right now they're not expected to change rates, but remember, it's all the expectation. I still like CAD yen to the long side here. I think even in the statement, they could be a little hawkish. And I think in that reason, I do like Aussie yen onto the short side, and the Kiwi yen. So again, that's in conclusion. We're just taking a look at broad markets. It's a risk-off sentiment. So pay attention to the equity markets. If the equity markets weaken further, we could see further continuation in some of the currencies. But then again, we could see the safe haven currencies like the yen, like the dollar, even the Swiss franc will likely to outperform here. So risk-off sentiment, BOJ and BOA in focus. So pay attention to that one and play relative center weakness. And also kind of keep in mind is that now we just have a few more days of solid trading, and then we go into the holiday environment. So this time around, this whole FOMC was really towards the 1 week before the Christmas. So we're just going to have a bit of a void of that the overall market liquidity where things will quiet down, and I think all that focus is just going to go into January of 2025. So that's the game plan here. Thanks for joining. Happy trading. To the next one.